female director Chow Lan is applying body lotion in front of me. His eyes were cold, but in fact he was calculating how to seduce me. Lu Nuyen screamed in her heart, saying, "If you still don't take the initiative, I will put on some clothes." Then, after a long while, she could only involuntarily put on her clothes. After that, Lu Nuyen went to the desk, sat in front of the screen, and searched how to get your husband interested. I gasped. Since gaining the ability to read minds, my outlook on life has been completely reversed. I have some doubts. Is this still the female director of Mount Banglan? Obviously, on the outside she is a cold woman, but on the inside she is a person without restraint. I quietly observed Lu and Yen over there, frowning, looking at the screen. People who don't know will most likely mistakenly think that she is seriously working, but the truth is extremely shocking. The female director, because her husband did not take the initiative to be intimate, posted a post asking for help from netizens. What 3 points? I sighed, then helplessly called out, "Lu Nuyen." Her heart's voice immediately rang out again. "Oh, why does my husband call me by my full name? He and I are already married. Why does he still address me so distantly?" "Who? I think so," but on the surface, Lu Nuyen looked coldly into my eyes and asked, "Is something wrong?" This contrast makes me really unfamiliar. I asked her cautiously, "It's very late, let's go to bed." "Oh my God, my husband wants to sleep with me. Does he like me too?" As expected, the trick of wearing silk clothes and then applying body cream is very effective. Tomorrow I have to buy some more chicken feet for my assistant. Lu Nuyen thought, then snorted coldly and nodded. I sighed. On one side is an unhappy marriage with a cold director, on the other side is a little wife who longs to be loved. It really makes people confused. When the two left, I didn't care anymore, lay down and got ready to go to sleep. Lu Nuyen still seems happy. "Oh, my husband and I are about to sleep together. Haha, after waiting for 10 years, I finally got married." Hearing these thoughts, I opened my eyes wide in disbelief. Lu Nuyen slowly lay down on the bed, her whole body exuding a distant breath, "Don't come closer." Seeing my stupid expression, she raised her eyebrows slightly, looking a little unhappy. "Go to sleep." "Why are you looking at me?" If her voice wasn't so loud, I would really think she hated me. I used to think Lu and Yen didn't like this marriage, but now it seems a little different than I imagined. My father and Lu's father, like Yen, are comrades. I heard that a while ago, her father almost died on the battlefield to save my father. The grace of saving lives is heavier than mountains, so my beloved father considered me a gift to ignore. Half a month ago, I married female director Lu Nuyen. I always felt that she was quite against this marriage, but Lu Nuyen completely fits my criteria for choosing a wife. Especially that beautiful face like a beauty queen. Before getting married, my father was afraid that I wouldn't agree, so he actively brainwashed me. Kogan, do you remember? When we were little, the two of us took off the cage to bathe in the rain together, and played family games together. Every time little Lu Yen called me husband, I would shyly bury my head on the sofa. I suddenly remembered back to elementary school. Because I didn't do well on the exam and was afraid that my father would beat me when I got home, I squatted on the side of the road for a long time. At that time, Lu Nuyen wore a sweet white dress like a princess in a fairy tale. She gave me a lollipop and then told me many things. Time passed so quickly. When I was a little older and met Lu like Yen again, I felt a bit sad thinking that she was no longer the same as when she was young. By the time I was in high school, Lu Yen's house had moved near my house. Lu Nuyen is very good at studying. Not only is she a beauty queen, but she is also a scholar. During 3 years of high school, I had to try very hard to get into the same university as her. But when I was in my first year, I was shocked to receive news that Lu Nguyen was preparing to study abroad. Then, before going abroad, she accidentally caught the class president confessing her love to me. After that, Lu Nguyen deliberately pulled me aside and seriously analyzed for me 300 reasons why love affects learning. Lu Yen's voice pulled me back to reality. Oh my God, why does he keep looking at me like that? Isn't it because he wants to do something? He's so excited. My insides screamed miserably. What exactly was Lu Nguyen thinking? Did she really want it that much? I turned to look at Lu Yen, who was shyly burying her head in the blanket like a scared little sheep. I suddenly got excited and wanted to tease her a little. I moved towards Lu Yen. The distance between us was now so close that we could even hear the other person's breathing. Oh, is it my husband who wants to kiss me? It's so embarrassing. If he kisses me, should I respond? No, drool, don't drool, I have to be more honest. I was a little amused and asked her directly, do you want a kiss? In an instant, Lu Yen's face became stiff, as if someone had said something to her heart. After that, she remained silent without saying anything. I hesitated a bit. 10 minutes have passed. When I was about to end this long joke, she suddenly grabbed my wrist. Lu Nguyen said a little embarrassedly, I want a kiss. I was a little confused. Was the sound just now her heart or her voice? Seeing that I had no reaction, Lu Nguyen blushed again, raised her voice slightly and repeated again, I want a kiss. She stared at me, her eyes filled with tears, as adorable as a little cat. I was a little confused, my heart was a mess. Looking at Lu Nguyen's burning eyes, I quickly swallowed my saliva. Lu Nguyen's doubtful voice came again, husband, why haven't you taken action yet? Let's go faster, I can't wait anymore. Don't look at someone who appears as calm as water on the outside, but in reality is as enthusiastic as fire. Also, don't watch some people pretend to be gray wolves. Actually, my insides were panicking like a lamb. When I saw Lu Yen's disdainful eyes, I felt a little angry. Next, I covered her eyes with my hand and gently kissed her lips. Lu Yen's body suddenly became stiff. And I grinned, a few evil thoughts suddenly flashed in my head. After that, I turned around and covered myself with the blanket to sleep, feeling extremely refreshed. Haha, let me spare you the crime of daring to look down on others. At this moment, Lu Nguyen's lament came again, why only a little kiss? Didn't the assistant say it took at least 3 hours? Is it because I'm not proactive enough or is it because I'm not fragrant enough? I couldn't help but almost burst out laughing. Tan Tu, the ice-cold female director, is so cute. Maybe it was because I was too tired, so I closed my eyes for a few seconds and fell asleep. As he was dozing off, Lu Nguyen's voice came to his ear, husband, are you sleeping yet? Oh God, why doesn't he hug me to sleep? Or should I crawl into his arms now? I probably won't be discovered. I'm really so smart. I'm so sleepy, so I don't want to deal with her anymore. While confused, I suddenly felt a soft patch on my chest. The next morning, when I woke up, the first image that caught my eye was Lu Nguyen's face. Her long eyelashes curled slightly, her cheeks were as red as eggplants. I softly exclaimed, my wife is so beautiful. I really want to kiss you right away. While I was silently closing the distance, I saw Lu Yen's eyelids move slightly. Is he awake? I wonder if he's angry. It's not okay, I have to pretend I'm not awake yet. I was a little amused, this woman really knows how to act. The next second, I cruelly pushed her away. Lu Nguyen opened her eyes wide, seemingly in shock, then she closed her eyes dreamily, pretending as if she had just woken up. I tried not to laugh, looking serious. Lu Nuyen quickly regained her cold expression, her eyes faintly glanced at me. Then she got out of bed and went to the bathroom. I'm a bit unable to distinguish this woman. It was clear that last night she still wanted her husband to kiss her, wanted her husband to hug her, but now she was acting so cold. It's true that I'm addicted, but I'm still shy. Less than 3 seconds later, I heard Lu Yen's heart again. Why did he push me away? Is it because I'm not beautiful? Or is it because he hates me? Wait, there seems to be jealousy in my eyes. But you can't blame me for this. I sat on the bed, holding my stomach and laughing. Aha, this woman is really interesting. When Lu Nuyen walked out of the bathroom, my mouth was still open from ear to ear. Seeing that, her expression immediately became a bit confused, then panicked, and finally angry. Haha, I died laughing. Her expression changed like Sun Wukong's 72 magical powers. Lu Nuyen's voice came in his ear. Why is he behaving like that? Does he hate me? Or does he not like a woman with dirty eyes? I don't want to sleep with my husband anymore tonight. After breakfast, we immediately got ready to go to the company. While I was putting on my underwear, I slightly raised my eyes and glanced at Lu Nuyen standing next to me. Right after that, I heard Lu Nuyen's heart in turmoil. I want to be with my husband a little longer, I want to take him to work, but what should I say? Hoo-hoo, he's almost done walking, I have to quickly think of a new excuse. The movements of my hands slowed down a bit, deliberately wanting to see how long she could last, but this woman was truly too stupid. I tied my shoes for 5 minutes, she kept screaming inside for 5 minutes and then absolutely didn't utter a single word. I also lost hope, reached for my coat and turned away. Lu Nuyen was still behind me, still screaming in her heart. You are truly a woman who likes to look good. As soon as I arrived at the company, my superior directly assigned me to be in charge of a new project. As the saying goes, I have great faith in your abilities. You absolutely must not disappoint me. I laughed contemptuously. What the hell did I trust? Clearly no one dared to accept it, that's why this hot coal fell into my hands. But I didn't bother looking at the documents in my hand, but was suddenly attracted by that name. What a coincidence, isn't this Lu Yen's company? To be exact, this is also my company, the common property of our husband and wife. I chuckled inside, but on the outside I still looked awkward. Boss, thank you for trusting me. I will definitely try my best. After arranging the documents, I immediately took a taxi to Lu Nuyen's company. While standing at the reception desk, I heard a few members chatting. Tell me, what kind of man does Mr. Lu like? I'm really curious. Ah, definitely the type of man with strong muscles and a six-pack body. Which woman doesn't like strong men? I somewhat involuntarily looked down at my abs. Why do you care what kind of men she likes? She doesn't like us anyway. That's not necessarily true. Have you never seen any silly movies? How romantic is the love between the director and staff? Wake up quickly, Mr. Lu is already married. I waited in the lobby for about 15 minutes, then 14 minutes later I heard them talking about Lu Yen. 2. Maybe I should be more careful in the future. Foreign invaders are indeed both numerous and strong. While I was lost in thought, Lu's assistant Yen came down and took me to the reception area. Just as he was about to enter the door, he coincidentally saw Lu Nuyen coming out of the meeting room on the other side. It seems like the meeting just finished. Just when I thought she was going to leave directly, she walked straight to me and asked, "What are you doing here?" At that time, I was confused by Lu's cold expression like Yen. Well, my husband, see, came to visit me. I was so touched. He is truly the best husband in the world. I was both confused and embarrassed, then cleared my throat. Lu Nguyen, I'm representing the review company here to discuss with your company about a new project. As soon as the words ended, Lu Nguyen's mood immediately fell from the clouds. So he's just here for work. No. Why did the company ask him to come here? Why not someone else? Surely my husband wanted to use work as an excuse to meet me. So sweet. I sighed. I could never catch her brainwaves. A while later, Lu Nguyen still seemed to have other things to do, so she left under the urging of her assistant. I quickly met the person in charge of the project. I don't know why, today's negotiation went very well, not at all difficult as my colleagues said. But I don't think much, just hope to quickly complete this project. When the negotiation was almost over, the person in charge and I were happily chatting to each other. Then suddenly, I heard a familiar voice. Why is he smiling so happily? I have to take a look to see who he is with. I'm a little amused. The next second, the conference room door was suddenly pushed open. General Director Lu, the person in charge of the project, quickly stood up to greet Lu as Yen. I looked at her frightened face and was extremely wondering. Is Lu Nguyen that scary? I turned my head and faced Lu Yen's cold face. Okay, it's actually a bit scary. Lu Nguyen opened her mouth. You two keep going, don't pay attention to me. After speaking, she very naturally sat down next to me. I didn't care much, but the person in charge of the project was not so comfortable. She was silent, not daring to cough a single sound. The familiar voice sounded extremely gloating. Haha. Why don't you say anything now? Humph, after talking about work, don't quickly disperse, still here laughing and talking to each other, it's really an eyesore. My head is a bit numb. The meeting room is very quiet. The project manager gently swallowed a mouthful of saliva, then secretly raised his hand to wipe the sweat from his forehead. I pursed my lips. If your company has no more questions, then I won't bother anymore. Having finished speaking, I stood up, took the documents and was about to leave. The person in charge of the project also stood up at this time, happy cooperation. Hey, do you have time tonight? Why don't we have a meal together? When Lu Nguyen heard this, her face did not change, but in her heart she continuously cursed. Eating a meal? What's the point of eating after that? You two have only known each other for a short time and you already want to eat together. This woman too, she doesn't have a husband, how dare she seduce her man? I put my hand on my forehead, my body was a bit wobbly. Luckily, Lu Nguyen promptly reached out to help me. A cold, gentle voice rang in my ear. Are you okay? I smiled politely, then quickly stood up straight and kept my distance from her. No problem. Lu Nguyen started to feel aggrieved again. Why does my husband push me away? Does my husband not like me anymore? I was speechless, my heart was filled with joy. Do these two things have anything to do with each other? After the project director was chased away by Lu Nguyen, the two of us went downstairs together. On the road, many eyes around were focused here. I quietly exclaimed in my heart, luckily Lu Nguyen and I are not in the same company. Otherwise, I would have been drowned by their saliva long ago. In complete contrast to me, Lu Nguyen loves everyone's attention. No wonder my husband shows off, he really has a face. They probably think he and I are a very nice couple. My husband is truly the most handsome man in the world. Leaving the company, I saw Lu Like Yen still had no intention of returning. I thought she wanted to see me get in the car to feel secure. When the taxi arrived, I opened the car door and sat in. I was extremely surprised to see Lu Yan also get in. What the hell is the situation? Does she still want to take me back to the company? I couldn't help but ask, what are you doing? She said very calmly, don't you want to eat? I almost laughed out loud. Okay, let's go eat. After all, she's paying. If I don't eat, I'm really sorry for my stomach. At the dining table, Lu Yan directly gave me the menu. I peeked at the prices on the menu, my eyes widened, my mouth gaped open. It's just one dish, why is it so expensive? Lu Yan looked at me leisurely, then casually ordered a few best-selling dishes, then ordered a few dozen other dishes that looked quite eye-catching. This dish is delicious, try it. I worked my jaw and thought painfully, as the saying goes, what you eat is money. That's a lot of money. Lu Yan's heart rang out again. Recently, I've been really busy with the abs wedding. My husband's abs have gotten smaller. I have to force him to eat more. My handsome husband can't be hungry. Lu Yan's eyes are really good. This restaurant looks ugly, but the food is delicious. I ate until I was full. After returning to the company, a few colleagues learned that I had successfully completed this project and were extremely curious and asked, old saying, do you have any secrets? I just laughed. What is the need for secrets? It's my company. I thought. My supervisor was also very satisfied with my performance, immediately helped me book a plane ticket, and gave me another project, equally difficult. Capitalist exploitation. I did not dare to protest, I could only pretend to happily return home. Wrap the melon in a towel and let it fly away. Just when she met Lu Yan, returning from overtime, she stood at the door of the room, thinking confusedly. What is he packing his suitcase for? Maybe he wants to go back to his mother's house. But why? Because the food today isn't good or because I did something wrong? Hand movements stopped. I looked towards Lu Yan and saw her eyes filled with tears, extremely pitiful. I sighed. I had to go on a business trip, time was quite urgent, so I didn't have time to inform you, to stop her from thinking nonsense. In the end, I still chose to open my mouth and explain first. Lu Yan immediately breathed. A feeling of relief in my heart, yet joy like a flower blooming. Haha, my husband doesn't hate me. He was just on a business trip, but why did that damn company make him go on a business trip? Why not let someone else go? I wonder if there's a female boss who goes with her husband, then calls him to her room at midnight? I'm a bit bored. My God, her imagination is even more amazing than the Eiffel Tower. But after all, she is my wife. I gently went to comfort Lu Yan. Don't worry, after the project is signed, I will immediately return. This time I will be the only one going, the representative on the other side is also a man, there will be nothing to worry about. Lu Yan, on the outside, was cold, but on the inside, he was already screaming madly. Look at you, my husband is actively explaining to me, does he also care about me? Ah, I'm really happy. She looked up at me, her voice a bit tentative, are you afraid I won't be happy? I nodded, you are my wife, of course I have to care about your feelings. Don't worry, I will take good care of myself. Seeing me enter the water first, Lu Yan was even more overwhelmed by the water. Okay, but every day you have to call me to tell me it's okay. I nodded. I'm afraid this is her real purpose. Lu Yan glanced over and secretly glanced at me, just in time to be caught red-handed by me. I'm a little amused. I'm your husband, so there's no need to sneak peeks like that. Just look straight ahead. Lu Yan's expression immediately changed, the corner of his mouth slightly curved, his eyes softened. The next morning, Lu Yan personally took me to the airport. On the way, she kept looking ahead, looking like she was driving calmly, but inside she kept listening. Is it safe for him to be alone outside? I really want to go with my husband, but what if he thinks I'm in charge of too much? I quietly commented. There's no need to worry so much. Hoo-hoo, I'm about to leave my husband. I won't see her for a day like my dad. What should I do? It seems like now I'm starting to miss my husband. Inside it was as hot as fire, but outside it seemed cold as ice. Until he got off the bus, Lu Nguyen still maintained a cold expression. I said goodbye to her, then pulled my suitcase and walked away. But Lu Nguyen suddenly called me back. At a glance, I was a bit surprised. As a result, the little girl just told me to pay attention to safety. The first night at the hotel, I still kept my promise and called Lu Nguyen to say I was safe. On the other side of the phone, Lu Nguyen took the initiative to say a few more sentences than usual. I gently asked, if you really care about me, then why did you pretend to be calm last time at the airport? Lu Nguyen answered honestly, maybe it's because of the distance that makes me really miss you a little. Now, I can't hear Lu Yen's heart. I don't know what she's thinking right now, but it's okay, because I've long understood Lu Yen's personality. The two of us were tossing and turning. A while longer, before stopping the conversation, I still did not forget to tell her to eat on time. I'll be back soon. Lu Nguyen nodded in agreement, then remained silent, but did not hang up the phone. We just listened to each other's breathing. Right at this moment, someone suddenly knocked on my door. From outside came the voice of a female colleague, Ko Gan. Do you want to go eat together? Come here now. I called out, then said one sentence to Lu Nguyen and then turned off the phone. I didn't think much, quickly took my coat and went out. This business trip was originally really just me alone, but the director was afraid I couldn't handle it alone, so he sent a female colleague to go with me. I was also not informed in advance. It was not until we checked our tickets at the airport that we met each other. Originally, I didn't take this small matter to heart, so I didn't tell Lu Yen. After eating and returning to the hotel, I suddenly received a phone call from Lu Yen. The other end of the line took a long time to say, "Where did you just go?" I felt a bit strange, but answered honestly, "I'll go eat." "Are you alone? Aren't there other colleagues? Why did you say the other day that you were the only one on a business trip?" I'm finally clear. She is clearly jealous of the other female colleague. So, I simply resolved the confusion in her heart. She is my subordinate, she is married. I only found out at the airport, so I didn't tell you. I honestly said everything. The other end of the line was silent for a long while. Then casually say 2 or 3 sentences. Even though her voice was cool and calm, I found it funny. Therefore, I deliberately teased, "Are you jealous?" Lu Yen's breathing was a bit disordered. She stopped talking. I don't know if it was because she was angry or embarrassed, she didn't say a word. I look at the time. Even though it's still early, staying silent with a slow-digesting person like her is not the way to go. If there's nothing else, then hang up. In the blink of an eye, I had been on a business trip for 3 days. Before leaving, I told Lu Nguyen that I would go on a 3-day business trip. So, when I called in the morning, Lu Nguyen probably thought I was about to return, so he pretended to be serious and asked, "Do you want me to come pick you up at the airport?" I stood by the window, not too fast or too slow, and said, "The original plan has changed. You won't be able to return in 2 days." The other end of the phone only coldly replied with 2 words, "It's up to you. We haven't seen each other for 3 days, I really miss you." I was intentionally teasing. She was silent on the other end of the line, only hearing Lu Yen's slightly disordered breathing. "It's probably not early where you are, so you should rest quickly. After saying that, I directly hung up the phone, then jumped on the bed, hugged the blanket and laughed loudly. The next morning, I was awakened by a knock on the door. I thought it was a female colleague who invited me to have breakfast with me, but when the door opened, the person standing outside was Lu Nguyen. She wore a very beautiful long white dress. I was stunned. "Why are you here?" Lu Nguyen's eyes were filled with tears. She stepped forward, looked up at me and whispered, "Because I just woke up, my mind is really half a beat slower." "What did you say?" Lu Nguyen thought angrily. "Didn't he say he missed me? Now that I'm here, he's showing such an attitude. Anyway, he's already here, he certainly can't chase me away." I really want to laugh out loud. I walked in front of Lu Nguyen, put my arms around her and hugged her. "Do you miss me?" Lu Nguyen said nothing. I bit my lip and asked again, "Don't you remember me? Then I don't need you anymore." Having finished speaking, I let go of my hand and intended to return to my room. Lu Nguyen suddenly grabbed my arm. She bowed her head and said gently, "I miss you." The next second, I leaned down and kissed her lightly on the lips. "Good. This is your reward." Lu Nguyen's heart blossomed. My husband kissed me. It really wasn't in vain that I traveled 10 hours to get here. I left her there thinking wildly, went to the bathroom to change clothes. "You just sit in the room and wait for me. Now I have to go out to discuss this project." It's already been discussed, today it's just about signing the contract. To congratulate, our partner also invited us to dinner. After all, it was the partner who actively invited us, so we naturally couldn't refuse. At the dinner table, drinking a little wine is inevitable. Even though I didn't drink too much, I still felt a bit dizzy. While standing in the hallway, I happened to see Lu Nguyen come out to greet me. Even though there were still people behind her, she held my hand and asked with concern, "Husband, why do you drink so much?" I was drunk, but not to the point of losing my temper, so I could still see a little bit of Lu's thoughts like Yen. The hand holding her waist slightly tightened, Lu Yen's face turned slightly red. After entering the room, I couldn't stand it anymore, directly pressed her against the door and kissed her down. After a while, I tried to calm my breathing, and finally said slowly, "Actually, I've always heard your thoughts." Lu Nguyen was extremely surprised, her eyes seemed to be a bit suspicious looking towards me. I calmly went into the room and took off my coat. When he turned around and looked over, Lu Nguyen was still standing there dumbfounded. He can hear my thoughts? That would be so embarrassing. I sighed and waved to Lu as Yen. She was a little hesitant, but in the end she still rushed forward. I pulled her directly into my arms and opened my mouth to ask, "Do you like me?" After all, she's my wife, so I don't have to be shy. But Lu Nguyen remained silent and did not answer. I could only loosen my tie and calmly say, "If you don't like it, that's fine." As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Nguyen quickly nodded, "I like it. I really like it." The next morning, Lu Nguyen slept until noon. This is enough to prove how dedicated and hard I worked last night. I smiled, feeling extremely satisfied. Until the moment we boarded the plane, she still held my hand tightly and didn't let go. People around looked at the two of us with curious eyes. After that, I wanted to silently withdraw my hand while she was sleeping, but as soon as I moved slightly, this girl would immediately hold on tighter. After Lu Nguyen learned that I could hear her thoughts, after that time she deliberately controlled her thoughts so that I could no longer eavesdrop. But it's okay, I've known all about her thoughts for a long time. When I got home, Lu Nguyen proactively wanted to cook for me. I looked at her wearing a pink piglet apron and her extremely skillful chopping of vegetables, and I was a little surprised. Lu Nguyen smiled gently, "I know your stomach is especially big, so I secretly learned to cook for you. I asked curiously, when did you start studying? Seeing her skillful movements, it took at least a few months to learn. Why didn't I know anything? Lu Nuyen turned off the stove, then slowly approached me. Kogan, this is the first time she called my name so gently, it made my heart skip a beat. Actually, I've liked you for a long time. Can't you hear my heart? Then perhaps you have deeply felt my feelings. It's just that every time we meet, you stay silent and don't say much to me, making me think that you hate me. So I still haven't dared to express my feelings. Luckily, I finally married you. Lu Nuyen looked at me sincerely. Kogan, what about you? Do you like me? Without any hesitation, I walked forward and hugged her deeply. Yen Yen, I've also liked you for a long time. I whispered softly, I'm sorry for making you wait so long. Luckily, we didn't lose each other from beginning to end. I bowed my head and gently pressed my lips to those plump lips. I don't know when I could no longer hear Lu's heart like Yen, but that didn't matter, because she had really opened her heart to me. I couldn't help but ask Lu Nuyen, so when did you start liking me? Lu Nuyen shook her head. I don't remember anymore, maybe it was from the time I gave you the lollipop. I laughed and hugged her tightly. And from the moment I played family with you, silently made up my mind that I would only marry you in this life. Someone once said, love is like a shower, torrential and passionate like a shower, coming quickly and leaving just as quickly. True love will be like the rays of sunshine on an autumn day, gently warming and penetrating into the deepest place of our souls. Until the sunlight goes out, our hearts are still filled with excitement,